Hello students, welcome to our discussion on topic of pressure distribution, which happens to be an important fundamental topic in the context of open channel flow. In this unit, we are going to discuss the pressure distribution in three cases. One is across horizontal channels, where we would assume that if this is the channel bed and there is some water that is flowing in this channel and this is our free surface, the bed has almost 0 degree angle with our horizontal surface. On the other hand, we would also look into the pressure distribution if the inclination of our channel bed is significantly different than 0. So if we talk about our horizontal surface and this is some angle theta that is present between our bed and this surface, that is conventional Cartesian x-axis, we will consider it to be non significantly different than 0. So theta is greater than 0. Finally, we'll talk about channels having streamlines with significant radius. As we discussed in last terminology video, that whenever water leaves the dams, there is something called a chute that would guide this water from reservoir to the next normal depth. We'll talk about these terminologies again, but what you can see here is that this chute or this spillway is going to have some radius of curvature, and whenever there is some radius of curvature is there, that would mean that we have to account for centrifugal forces, and these centrifugal forces has to be accounted whenever we deal with the pressure distribution in such systems. So let us start our discussion and begin the calculation of pressure distribution for the simplest case, which we also call as hydrostatic pressure distribution. So we will consider a channel which has almost zero slope, and then we have a free surface here. Let us consider an element of a fluid such that it is perpendicular to the free surface, and again it is horizontal, so that would mean it is perpendicular to the base also. If it has the depth of y, the cross-sectional area is delta A, and this system is under equilibrium. That would mean summation of net forces in y direction is equal to 0. If this is the case, we can say that in y-axis two forces are acting. One is because of fluid surrounding this control volume, which is acting in upward direction. So this is given by P delta A. And our question here is that what is the magnitude of P? Then there is another force which is acting by virtue of weight of this element, and the weight of this element is given by rho g y delta A, which is simply density of fluid multiplied by volume multiplied by acceleration due to gravity to convert mass into weight. And since these two forces have to be in equilibrium, we can say P delta A is equal to rho gy delta A, which implies our pressure is equal to rho g y, where y is the depth of element under consideration from free surface. And this is very famously known as hydrostatic pressure. This you have must have encountered in fluid mechanics also. And once we have this value of y, we can easily determine what is the pressure by virtue of its depth below the free surface. Now, when we talk about open channel flow, we also mentioned that the dominant force that is causing flow in open channel flow is generally friction and gravity. And this gravity comes from the fact is that for most of the rivers or channels that we would consider, our bed generally has some slope which would have a component of weight in x-axis given as w sine theta, and then friction will act along the bed. Let us say the magnitude is ff, and if our flow is steady, we can easily say that our friction and gravity forces are same. But for this gravity force to act, we must make sure that there is some non-zero component of weight acting along the parallel to the bed. So if we draw this diagrammatically, we have our channel bed, which has an angle of inclination of theta here. Our free surface, let us assume that it is parallel to our bed surface, and again we consider the same element of fluid. Now again, keeping the condition same, we would say that it is inclined at 90 degrees to our free surface, and hence if this is 90 degrees, if we talk about our vertical depth y and the inclined depth is d, we can clearly see that if we consider this triangle which I am making here, so if I am interested in this y, that simply would be, our d would be y cos theta, because now this is 90 degree, this is y, and this happens to be d. So our y becomes hypotenuse in this case. Now again we will apply this equilibrium condition, assuming that summation of forces in y direction is 0, summation of forces in x direction equal to 0, which would make it the steady and uniform form flow in this case. So if we talk about this point, again assuming cross section is dA, our weight of this element acting vertically is given by d into delta A multiply by rho multiply by g. And if we take the component of this weight along the d parallel to this depth d, that would be cos theta, because if this angle is theta, this would also become theta, and hence the resultant would be cos theta. And this should be equal to pressure acting at this point perpendicular to cross sectional area, because by Pascal's law pressure would be equally transmitted in all direction and it will act perpendicular to the surface, which implies we can write this d rho g cos theta equal to P, because this dA would cancel out, and we also write that our d is equal to y cos theta. So if we substitute this d as y cos theta into rho g cos theta, it becomes equal to P, which implies our P equal to rho gy cos square theta. So at any depth y taken vertically, our pressure distribution is not hydrostatic anymore, because the hydrostatic pressure was given by rho gy, and because of introduction of this cos square theta, our pressure distribution, which was something like this, would have a new shape, which again would be triangle but with a reduced magnitude. So if this total depth here is total width here is rho gy, that would be the case for theta equal to 0, and when slope is significant we would multiply this pressure by the term of cos square theta. And this covers our second case, that how pressure distribution would look like in steep sloped channels. Finally, if we talk about channels which have significant curvature of associated streamlines, let us see how the pressure distribution would look like. So first of all, what kind of cases we would encounter in real fluid mechanics whenever we are considering such cases? So let's look into an example. So here a question is that there is a spillway which has radius of 20 meter, and the flow velocity at section B is given to be 20 meter per second, and depth of flow is 5 meter. It is asked in the question that what is the pressure at point C. So again, let us draw the figure that how what this point B and point C are. So this is our spillway, this is our free water surface, and it is given that this radius of curvature is 20 meter. If we take a cross section here, we will have 2 points, point B and this is point C, and this is section BC, and velocity here is given as 20 meter per second. Now you can imagine now that if we have introduced this curvature, there would be another force that would be associated because of this curvature, which would be a normal force inducing an acceleration equal to centrifugal acceleration, which is v square by r. if we have to again consider a fluid element here of some cross sectional area dA, we can write this magnitude of force as mass into normal acceleration. Our mass again comes out to be rho y delta A multiplied by v square r if we consider the depth of fluid element is again y. So if we have to write the pressure head because of this force, we can write it as total force divided P upon gamma, which is equal to force divided by area into gamma. So this comes out to be y into v square by rg, because our gamma is equal to rho into g. So this becomes our pressure head by virtue of centrifugal acceleration that would be acting on this streamline by virtue of its curvature. Now there is already some head which is present because of the hydrostatic pressure. So that would be equal to P upon gamma hydro equal to y. That because we are considering that now the channel slope is not significant, but there is some curvature, and that's why we are just using the depth equal to y, because our hydrostatic pressure is given by gamma y, and if we divide it by gamma, we are just left with y. So the total pressure in this case is given by y plus y into v square by rg, and we take y common, we end up with 1 plus v square by rg. And this would hold true when our the shape of the streamline is concave. If we have a convex streamline, which would mean that if weight and curvature, weight is acting in downward direction and so is the case with the centrifugal force, we would have the same expression but with a different sign. So in case of convex streamline, our expression would have a negative sign. That means that y minus y into v square by rg would be the resultant pressure head. So this is pressure head and this is also pressure head, and this would be applicable to convex streamline. Now in the given question, we know the radius, we know the flow velocity, and which is given as 20 meter per second, and we also know the depth of our cross section, and simply we can see that since this is a concave shape, our pressure would be given by ys plus g times v square by gr, and simply substituting the values here, we end up with 1 plus 20 square divided by 9.81 into 20, which comes out to be 15.19 meter. So this is our pressure head. So if we have to convert this pressure head to total pressure, that would be given by gamma times the pressure that we have computed, which comes out to be 9.81 into 1000 into 15.19, and this, if we divide it by 1000, we will have our answers in kilopascal, which comes out to be 149 kilopascal. And you can clearly see that because of curvature, the net resultant pressure at point C has increased significantly, which cannot be ignored, and that's why accounting for curvature wherever it is present is important. Now that we are clear with this concepts of pressure distribution in various cases that we encounter in various streamlines, we are all set to move to our next discussion on conservation laws. So we will discuss the rigorous derivation of this pressure distribution in various conditions and develop a generic expression, and we will derive Euler's equation of motion in our next lecture, as well as will derive the Bernoulli's equation for steady incompressible flow, and finally we will derive an expression for specific force function. And once these derivations are clear to us, we are all set to apply the concepts of fluid mechanics to understand open channel flow in much easier yet comprehensive way. Thank you.